What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Lasting Thoughts Podcast. I am your host, Digital Relaxation. We are back again for another episode. And as always, if you guys enjoy what you hear, what you're gonna hear, please be sure to share and rate this podcast and all of that good stuff. And yeah, um, let's get into it. What I've been up to. Um, First, again, plug. If I mentioned this on the last episode, but for anyone who did not hear the episode and probably hearing this episode for the first time, I also I also have another podcast with two of my good brothers called the Splits and Sake podcast. It's an anime-based podcast. We are on YouTube. It's a video-based, so you can actually see us discussing stuff and got some little clips in there to highlight what we're speaking about and whatnot. But yeah, if you want to check that out instead of just hearing this, please be sure to go over there and support that and help us grow. But also the reason why I brought that up is because it relates to what I've been up to. Recently, after dropping our first episode, we actually did. It wasn't really a last minute thing, but it was a last minute thing. One of my co-hosts from the podcast, we sent a text. He was like, "Yeah, like I'm about to go to this and like it's like a little anime meetup hangout thing that was happening." He's like, "Yeah, I'm about to go here," and I was like, "Yeah, let's do it. I'm gonna go too." But then, life happened. I had a life. I went in to get my oil change and whatnot, and you know the usual when you take your car somewhere, they always find something more than what they should be finding. But yeah, they were like, "Yeah, your tires is kind of like bad, bro. Like you shouldn't even be driving." And I was like, "Huh." So I wasn't like mentally prepared for like I didn't come here for that. Like I don't mentally prepare myself to spend more than what I came here for. So it's like, man, you just throwing this on me. It kind of ruined my mood because I was going to dedicate that day to myself. Like I was going to like, yeah, I'm off. I'm going to get this oil change. Then I'm going to go to the bookstore. Like I said, I'm getting back into my hobby. So I'm going to start buy me some manga. And then, take myself out to eat somewhere. Just treat myself. But then that happened, and I was like, damn. But I was like, I ain't gonna let this kill my mood. I still went and did what I wanted to do. But it was like, damn, then this, and I'm like, and then I was like, yeah, I was with it, but I ain't with it. And it was that day that it was happening, and it was like, yeah, I was with coming, but I ain't coming. And my other co-host, my cousin, he was like, he was texting me, he was like, yo, like, on the real, like, I ain't gonna go, you ain't gonna go. Like, I think it'd be lit. All three of us came, like, as, the podcast unit. And I was just like, yeah. No. But at the back of my mind, I was, because like I said, I'm trying to, I'm on my live life, like, just go ahead and enjoy myself, whatever the case is. So like, it's a good time. And it's also like, yeah, like we like I said, we're a new podcast. We just dropped that podcast. We slowly starting to build stuff up. So like it'll be a good way to network as well. So I was like, you know what? Forget it. I'm coming. Let's go. Let's do it. So we all we all met up and we went there. And it was dope. It was more than dope. That was probably a great, like, I'm not even gonna say it was a great, like, for the year, to start this year, even though with 2 months in, to start this year, it's a great way to start the year. That was amazing. We went in there. Fun thing is, like, so when we go in there, we gotta get like name tags, and I'm about to do like the whole to pad out podcast time. I'm about to like talk about the whole night. Nah, I'm trying to like summarize it though. But we get like our name tags, we write our names, and we didn't even peep that there's like numbers on the thing. I'll get to that in a second. And then there's there's like stickers. There's 4 different color stickers, each represent like why you like the purpose of why you pulled up. And I got the one. I'm like, I'm just here for the vibes. And my cousin was like, I'm here for the vibes, but he also put I'm here to network. I'm like, I didn't even peep the network one. But yeah, like we're here to network. So we were just chilling, everybody loosening up, and then they were like, all right, we're gonna start breaking you guys down into groups. So like, who's in group 1, go over there. Who's in group 2? I'm like, what? And then like looking on our names, like, oh, these got numbers on them. So we all end up not being on the same group because we just picked up names. And we did anime trivia. And we was low key losing at first, but then when they got to like the quote unquote bonus rounds or whatever, when they started like double, like, all right, these questions are worth 2 points or whatever, that's when we started coming back. And then we ended up tying with another team, and they were like, all right, so the only way we could break this tiebreaker if y'all each got to pick one person from your team, and they got battled out in Tekken, which Tekken 8 just came out recently. And I'm just like, I'm looking at my team, I'm like, like you could tell when it seems like they don't play. But Tekken, if it was something else, I'd been more confident. But Tekken, I haven't played Tekken since PS2 days, and that was barely. And I'm like, yo, y'all want to put your faith in me? Y'all can, but I don't have faith in myself. So I'm going up. They got the other dude, and this man was like, yeah, like, let me just set my buttons up real quick. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm done. Like, this man said he gonna set his buttons up. He play. And so we started playing, and this man was cooking me. Tekken, one thing about Tekken, they do a 3-round thing, so you gotta win 3 times in a row to win the full fight. So this man cooked me in the first 2 rounds. I'm like, yeah, this about to be a clean sweep. It's over for me. But then I don't know, like the buttons just started coming naturally, and I started like figuring out some buttons because like I said, I had not played Tekken, so I don't even know what the buttons are. So I'm just like pressing stuff to see what does what, and I'm like, all right, I'm figuring out certain buttons. I figured out the grab move. I'm like, all right, started coming back, got the dub, and then got another dub. So now it's 2-2. We really went to the wire, like the health bar was like, neck and neck at the end, and I managed to pull the dub out for my team. So we got the victory. Our team won the whole anime trivia Tekken contest. But yeah, we did more stuff. We did karaoke. There was a performance there. They did like one of those like those lover game shows where there'll be 3 male contestants behind the screen, and 1 female is like, she asking questions that she gonna have to pick like between which number who answered the best questions. And funny enough, 2 of my co-hosts actually went up to do that, and one of them ended up winning. So there was that, and we did another guess that anime opening thing where one of the hosts was like, she was singing like a few seconds of an anime opening, and you gotta guess what anime it's from and what's the name of the song. And my other co-host actually guessed that, so we were like, yeah, man, it's a clean sweep for us, man. We having a good night. We mingling, we just putting people on, like, yeah, we actually just dropped our podcast, so you should follow us. And yeah, it was a good night, man. It was just great, fun vibes, being around, and also just being around people who share your interest, but also being around people who look similar to you. So it's like, like, that's what I like, because there's usually that stigma that back when we were younger, we were the outcast for liking anime, being black and liking anime. Like, we looked down at by our peers for doing that. But now it's like, no, we got our space. This is us. We're weird. We're gamers. We like anime. We chill. We like music. We hang out. We do fun stuff, but just that we like anime. That's it. So it was a good night. It was a good night, successful night for our brand as a whole. And yeah, so we're just trying to grow. But yeah, that's mostly it. And just yeah. But so this topic, I feel like I talked about this before, probably several times, but it's been recently popping up on my feeds again. And that's well, one of them was middle-aged men and loneliness. And then I'm seeing another one. There was this girl who talking about why she's so lonely, and she like going into like, cause she recently went to Japan and she came back home, and she's like, ever since I came back home, I just started dealing with like this mental crisis of just being lonely. And I'm like, yeah, I get it, cause like I said, recently I went to Japan too, and that was like the greatest moment of my life. And not only that, like my closest friend is over there, and it's always that moment when it's like, you don't want this moment to end. Like, this is nothing but fun. This is a great time. This is what, like, everything you imagine happening. And it's just when it comes to that day when it's like, all right, man, like, man, I gotta leave. I gotta go back to my regular life. And it's like that loneliness hits you. Like, even like with this, like when we hang out, and both of them actually live in a close area. They came together, like, so he went to go drop him off at home. But me, I live a complete opposite direction. So it's like, yeah, we all together, we have fun, and then now it's just me in my car driving alone for like an hour. And I'm like, damn. Like, especially when it's a fun night, because now it's like, because you're riding off that high, you're like, damn, like I just want to keep chilling with my boys, and like it's not something that happens a lot, so we trying to like make more time for it. But also funny enough, not funny enough, but because what I like to do recently too, I like to look at like my daily horoscope, and usually they'll like send a message of like, how I should like things I should think about, or how I should maneuver throughout the day. And my horoscope for today was like, you should spend more time with yourself, because you don't want to overstimulate yourself, and it can like mess with you. So you should take some time for yourself, relax with yourself, and just build that energy with yourself again, instead of just like constantly being around everybody, because it might get to the point where you could rub somebody the wrong way if you just like overstimulate it. So I was like, that's interesting, because like I said, like just going off of that, like damn, like we just had a good night, and it's like, all right, now I need to take a step back and just recharge myself, get have some time for myself, do this podcast and just chill. Like I don't, I'm gonna get into it, but there's a balance between being alone and loneliness. Like, I think the loneliness is more so for people who's like trapped in their ways and in their little moment in this circle. And the problem is like there's no one else around them that can like feel that. And I think that was my problem too when I was like younger, because it's like when I moved away from New York, and like most of my family is there, my cousins is there, my friends were there from school, like they were all there, and now it's like I'm here and I can't really just go over there because I'm a kid. Like, I don't have the funds or the transportation to do it, and like it's not like I can, hey, I want to see my friend, take me. Like, nah, that's far, and plus I work. I don't have time to do that. So yeah, so like losing those connections, and it's like, well, you don't know what to do with yourself now, because you had your circle at one point and you had this attachment to everything that was happening. You had your, what do I want to say? I don't want to say cycle, but maybe that. Like, you had your rotation of, I'll hang out with my friends, I'll hang out with my family members. Like, I had it all, like for me, like, throughout the weekdays, I would chill with my friends. the weekend when I'll go see my mom. Um, there was the time where like, hey, can I go see my cousins? Especially when it came to the summers, I damn near lived with my cousin because like I just stood with him the whole time. So like, I always had something to bounce off of to not keep me lonely. So when I got to a point where it's like, all right, I'm in a completely new area with people I don't know, and even when I try to make friends and I did have a group of friends, it's I don't know, it just wasn't the same. I don't I don't know if it's definitely the location I want to say too, because over here it's like you kind of low key. It's one of those places that you low key need a car to do stuff. Like New York, like literally everything is right around the block. Like you could just walk around and you just end up like there's mad stuff there. Over here is like the mall from where I lived at, just walking wise, was like almost over 30 minutes just to walk to the mall. It's like a 5 minute drive. And it's like, but we don't got cars. We teenagers, young teenagers. So it's like the stuff we can do is very limited because of the resources. So it's not like, and we all don't live close to each other like I did with my friends. Like we're not all on the same block. So it's like, oh, I'm just about to go outside. I'm gonna go across the street, knock on his door. We gonna go 2 houses down, knock on his door. Like we just got a whole group and we just gonna play manhunt. Like these dudes all live somewhere else. So it's like we like to get us all together in one spot. Again, resources we don't have. Like it just didn't hit the same. Like the only time we can hang out is at school, and it's like that's what it feels like. Is this a true friendship, or is this just yeah, we're cool, it's my homie, and then like once we leave school, it's like well, back to being alone. So it's like I understand the loneliness, but that's where my podcast and other stuff that I do exist. Learning to find ways to express yourself. And me, I'm a big advocate of creative expression. Like find you a hobby that will make your mind work. Like make your mind find something, like put yourself in a new world. Like, think about something different. Just escape quote unquote reality for a minute and think about other stuff. Like, what are some things you want to be good at? What are some things you want to do? What are something you want to practice? What is a way that you want to express yourself? And like, if you can get your message out there and get your feelings out there to the world, how would you do it? And that's I branched off of doing a bunch of things. I do music, I do art, I do writing, I do podcasts, like I do gaming, I do whatever to like express myself in a creative way. And I enjoy like the process that goes behind it. Like, not only just, I'm just gonna press record and record this podcast. Like it's everything that came with it. Like, building the brand, making my cover art, editing the vocals, making sure it sounds right. All of that, all of the background stuff that comes with it too. I enjoy doing everything about it because it pushes me to like focus on something. So I'm not just sitting there focusing on, hey, I'm just here by myself. I'm alone. Like, nah, like, just focus on something that gives you meaning and like it gives yourself some kind of self-worth, some self-value. So you start looking at yourself more higher. You start appreciating the things you can do better. And you start like, all right, I can do this. So I'm gonna start pushing it more. I'm gonna start taking it this way. Then you start planning for how I'm gonna elevate this. If you want to take it that far, like I said, like, oh, now, hey, I got this podcast, but whoa, you guys want to do a podcast? Let's do it. Let's start a whole new podcast. Let's do it. Let's have fun. It's just like, just gotta go out there and just do stuff, man. And you can't sit there and just dwell on your position, on who's around. Like, you will eventually always attract somebody that, that can vibe to you. But like I said, it's also fine to be by yourself. It's not like, not saying, it's fine to be by yourself. It's fine to be alone. It's not that. It's like what I was saying, like, being comfortable about being alone. Like when I finally got to that point, that's when I realized, all right, this is a shift in my emotional and mental balance. That's when I started looking at myself in a better way. Like for the first time, I was like, because like I always go to the story about like when I got to my quote unquote awakening of when I was like finally like, oh, I think I'm about to start getting over my depression. It's when I literally gave up, not gave up, but I gave up everything that I was interested in life. I wasn't really playing games like that no more. I wasn't doing music no more. I was barely talking to my friends no more. I even ended with my close friend now. I low key had an intention of ending that friendship with her. um, and I was just like, I didn't even enjoy watching the YouTube videos no more. Like there was nothing that was like exciting me no more. And instead of taking that negatively, I sat there with myself and I was like just sat there with myself and see like how can I like exist just sitting here being with myself. Like if this is all I got, is this enough? Basically, like if all I have is myself, is that still enough for me to keep going through my day and go through life? And I'm like, you know what? It's not bad. Like the negative thoughts wasn't clouding my head no more. I apologize for that. The negative thoughts wasn't clouding my head no more, and just thinking about new things. Like I think that's when I started getting not more deeper into writing, but I was always writing before. But like even that, like exploring, like I said, exploring new worlds. Like, oh, I could probably like make a story about this. Like started learning, like figuring out where like like when you've been so disconnected with yourself for so long, especially for me, like for like almost a decade, like just disconnected with myself, and it's like meeting a old childhood friend again. It's like, yo, like how are you? Like just asking yourself these questions, like how are you really? Like are you good now? Like are we good now? Like we've been through a lot, but I haven't really checked on you, which I haven't checked on myself. Like how are you? And being able to like be comfortable with that answer, like I think I'm actually fine. I think I can get through this. And then a lot of stuff just started changing. And that was weird. Like that's weird. Like when whoever you believe in, God, a higher force, or the universe, really just like they put like God puts me in a position where it's like I sit there and question like why you put me in this position. Even to quote Fonte from Little Brother in the song, he's like, I was going through a storm and I asked the Lord why, and when he finally brought me out, I asked the same thing. It was like why I'm going through this crap right now? And then when you finally get through it, you ask yourself again, but with the knowledge of knowing the answer why. Like, okay, I see why you did that. Like, all right, I get it. It's like you gotta be patient. And so it's like, yeah, I wasn't talking to my friends. I wasn't gaming. I was like, yeah. Then, boom, I started getting more deep into listening to podcasts. Got to the point where like, hey, I think I can do this someday. Started getting back into watching videos on YouTube again. Started getting back into talking to people. Even got back to like, hey, I think I do music again. Cause by that time, I think I was done for like 2-3 years. I haven't done music by that time, so like I think I could do this again. Especially, and I found the right music as well. Like rebooting my music taste. Always, I love doing that. And I was like, yo, like finding that motivation. Like this is dope. I'm inspired to do this again. And then that one day, my closest friend, she just randomly just texted me, and I'm like, that's wild. Like, cause like the way it happened, she had every reason to cut that friendship off. And it was like, hey, I came back. I just basically, it was one of those like, she knew but she didn't know. They're like, all right, you're going through something right now, and I'm gonna let you go through it, and then I'm gonna come back. And she just happened to come back after I finally went through it. And I was like, so it's like, hey, so you good now? Basically, I'm like, yeah, I'm good. My bad. So it was just like, it was just all timing. And then that's when I met my quote unquote second family, which I had on this podcast recently. Bree, Rose, Jake, who's MIA, everyone else that I met along the way. Like my circle just started changing. So it's cool. Like I said, it's cool being with yourself if you are comfortable and you have that relationship with yourself to be comfortable to be with yourself. I think the loneliness comes in with like when you don't have like a healthy circle, a healthy life flow, and then you have like, you know, like those little spurts of happiness, like, oh, for the like this one time in a year I just went out my comfort zone and I was happy as hell that one time. And then you go right back to reality and now you feel even more sad before because like I want that again, but how do I get that again? So it's one of those things. But yeah, that's all I wanted. This whole episode was just a rant about me talking about loneliness and being comfortable with yourself, which is important, but still. I wanted to talk more about the middle age loneliness thing. Like literally the reason why I wanted to talk about that because like I said, it came up on my feed and I was watching a video about it and I had the whole concept of what I wanted to say in my head at that moment. And then when I finally got to the point when I was going to start writing down my notes of what I'm going to say, like I completely forgot what I wanted to talk about. So like I said, so then finally this next video that's on my feed, I'm like, all right, I can probably put these two together and just give my take about loneliness and being alone, which like I said, I felt like I definitely did an episode like this before. So I guess this is just an updated new perspective about it. So yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna end the episode there. See if I can give you a question of the day. For those who felt like they were lonely at one point, I'm gonna try to do two questions. For those who felt like they were lonely at one point and did overcome like their loneliness and got more comfortable, what was the turning point for you when it was like, I can finally be comfortable with like I can be with myself and not feel like I'm lonely? Like what was it that made that turning point for you? And for those who feel like they still are going through the loneliness, like what is preventing you from changing whatever the situation, the environment, the circle you in so you can better yourself? Like I said, like for me, like there's a lot of people I was like who I talk to or whatever, like, you know, yeah, some of these things don't know, like I still do this, like I still do my hobby, but it doesn't hit the same. So I'm like, then as well as it's gonna sound, like maybe you should like just stop doing your hobby for a bit, like make yourself miss your hobby, I guess, like just abandon everything that you once was and see if you can rebuild it again. Yeah, I just answered the question for the people who asked. But yeah, those are my questions. Yeah. So as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Be sure to share this episode, rate it. Again, my other podcast, Splits and Sake podcast, anime based and other stuff, I guess, but for the most part it's anime based, and we do sip our sake. Like I said, it's a video format. You can search on YouTube. We also have an episode on Spotify, it's video as well. So I'm gonna try to be consistent with that. But yeah, check us out. And yeah, till next time, hope you guys have a great day, a great week, and yeah, peace.